And then there were four. The MLS Cup playoffs finally get serious. Marta, Orlando, and Colorado Springs are American champions, and Liverpool extend their Premier League as City lose again. That and more here on Monday's Morning Kickaround. Hello and welcome into Morning Kickaround, where we cover the world's favorite game from the world's favorite country. Coming to you live each Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm Robert Kerr, happy to be joined once again by the venerable Jason Davis. How you doing?
I'm all right. I think you might be able to tell I'm a little bit tired. I'm looking at the bags. Oh, those are not good. That's not good, Rob. The little one woke up, coughed middle of the night, jumps in bed with mom and dad. That's never a fun time. It's never he ended up at my feet. Excuse me. It's in the voice too. He ended up at my feet, which I don't know how that happened. Not as much sleep as I would like, but I am here. I'm ready. Let's do some morning kick around.
Yeah, morning kick around indeed. I'm already in the Thanksgiving malaise. I'm already the weekend. I was just like, there's nothing really to do, right? We just watched about 19 hours of sports, and had some people over, kind of a Friendsgiving, so to speak, sort of a thing, and got into a strange topic of which rappers had the best acting career.
Which rapper had the best acting career? Wow. I mean, Ice Cube's done some big movies, in terms of even the kids stuff he's done now with Are We There Yet and all that stuff. I know I'm missing somebody. Who else is out there?
Our conversation kind of got siloed into Ice-T versus Ice Cube, but we didn't even dip into like the Mos Defs of the world or the Ludacris's.
Yeah, Mos Def, Ludacris in all the Fast and Furious movies, right? For the most part.
Ja Rule didn't get much of a shout.
No, I would say DMX's career is underrated. R.I.P. to DMX. But underrated. Couple of those movies go pretty hard. I'm not saying they're good movies. I'm saying they're entertaining to watch. That's what I'm going to say about DMX and his acting career.
Cradle to the grave, bro.
That's right. Cradle to the grave. Oh my God. I mean, I think you should give a special. You're killing me with this because this could be my whole day now. I think you give a special mention to Method Man for his turn in Belly. That's all. That's all I'll say about that. Go watch that movie.
Oh man, I don't remember the actor's name, but do you remember the guy in Nebraska when he eats the banana? He's got like the banana peel hanging out of his mouth. It was an all-time little quirky moment of that movie. But speaking of X giving it to you, follow the show on the XM Kickaround on X and Instagram, and then even more important, give us a subscribe on YouTube. Morning Kickaround YouTube. MK Ultras, get to it. Click that subscribe button, and the show will keep on growing. Are you ready for long balls? I'm ready for long balls. You ready?
Let's do it. News. Let's go. Long
Monday's
balls.
Long ball number one here for Monday morning. It was an intense weekend of MLS Cup playoffs, and the LA Galaxy are out of this world, winning 6-2. Was this your highlight of the quarterfinals?
Yes, I think so. I mean, obviously, we will get to the other result. I mean, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it. I think the other LA team in that result, what Seattle did, because they hadn't beaten the LAFC since 2021, is maybe the result of the round, because you had the Galaxy as the favorites at home against Minnesota. Minnesota had been on a nice run. They had played good defensive soccer mostly, but we've had the Galaxy as favorites. Now, what we think they were going to drop 6 on Minnesota? Maybe not. I did see some grousing. I'll use that word. It seems like a nice Midwestern way to describe it. Some grousing from the Minnesota fans about the officiating in that game, Rob. I think there was some allegations of diving on the part of the Galaxy, and Ricky Pouge, he likes to make a show of things and all of that. In the end, though, the better team won the soccer game. Right, you can complain, and if you're a Loons fan, I get it today. I understand why you're a little hostile about that result, but I think on the day, the better team won. They are the high flyers. We will talk more about the Galaxy later, but that was certainly a good show.
So we'll kind of go back in time. So the weekend ended with that LA Galaxy 6-2 win. Just before that, Orlando squeaking a 1-0 win, ending legend Dax McCarty's career.
Yeah, I mean, that one part of the story, just one goal, Orlando makes that stand up. Atlanta had a couple of moments, but they clearly weren't as dangerous in the attacking end as they had been against Inter Miami in one game like that. If you don't take your chances, you're going to find yourself on the end of the bad result. I am sad to see Dax McCarty end his career without an MLS Cup. That is, that is the upshot for him. But here's the numbers. And shout out to Ben Wright. I got this on Blue Sky. I'm also on Blue Sky. We're not Morning Kickaround's not on Blue Sky yet, but we probably will be.
That's a
And I'm
holiday
on
thing.
Blue Sky.
It's a holiday thing.
Yeah, maybe that's a holiday thing. Go follow me, Davis Jason, on Blue Sky. Ben Wright posting this 19 seasons, 554 appearances, 43,209 minutes, 25 goals, 79 assists, an all-star twice, a best 11 player in 2015, a Supporter Shield winner twice in 2013 and 2015, 13 caps with the U.S. men's national team, and he won the Gold Cup with that team in 2017. So an incredible career for an MLS lifer in Dax McCarty. So respect to him as he exits the stage in Orlando. What a moment for Orlando. Oscar Breja probably has never had a better chance to win an MLS Cup than he has this season with this particular team. They get it from everywhere. There's no guy that you're like, that's the one who makes this show work for Orlando. It's kind of a bunch of different pieces. Obviously, they go from Enrique, which opportunistic, call it that, but you make your own luck, right? You create that scramble, that problem in the box. You get a player free, and that's how you win games.
On Saturday, the nightcap on Saturday night, Seattle overcoming Los Angeles Football Club in extra time. Jordan Morris coming in with the winner, but the highlight, maybe a low light in this one.
Well, I mean, the Maxime Chanot own goal is going to loom large in LAFC season. They were the number one overall seed in the Western Conference. After Inter Miami's defeat against Atlanta, they had every hope, every reason to believe they were going to be hosting MLS Cup. Right? Obviously, you would have to get past somebody in the West, maybe the Galaxy, but there was reason to believe that LAFC could go and win another title after last year's disappointment, and they were in control. I mean, I'm not saying they were good on the evening. I think Denis Bouanga had one of his least effective games, and maybe credit to the Sounders for the plan to slow him down. No Nuhu in this game for Seattle, which was something of a setback. I did see a little bit of an argument as to whether or not Nuhu's been as good a defender this year as he has been in the past. So maybe it wasn't as big of a loss. Bell played pretty well in Nuhu's stead. And again, Jordan Morris gets a lot of flack, but he's a very good soccer player, particularly in this league. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the goal a couple more times in extra time to see how much Hugo Lloris is responsible, kind of culpable. It's a pretty good shot. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the shot. It just, you wonder if Lloris, like 4 years younger, gets to that or has a better read on it than he did.
Yeah, that's a good point there. I mean, it was a bit of a scrappy one in the box, turns and shoots from close range. I mean, yeah, maybe if he's at his cat-like best, he maybe even closes that down more. He reads the first touch, turn and shot. But I mean, that it is what it is, and Los Angeles FC are out. They were
that's the slogan for these playoffs in 2024. It is what it is. That's what all the players were saying about the big break. We're not really talking. I will say I'm glad we're not really talking about how the break impacted anybody. Doesn't seem, it probably was a factor, but it's not something we're kind of like focusing on or making a big issue out of. It was good to have the playoffs back.
The first of the quarterfinals Saturday afternoon, the New York Derby, the Hudson River Derby, New York Red Bulls winning over NYC FC, probably this weekend's top soccer game in a baseball stadium. Maybe, I don't know, Colorado. No, that was
that's a proper soccer stadium out in Colorado Springs. How dare you, Robert Kerr? Don't disrespect the USL Championship like that. They didn't play their final in a baseball stadium, unlike Major League Soccer playing a playoff game in a baseball stadium. The Red Bulls are a Cinderella story. Like, if you're picking one out, it's the Red Bulls, which I think a lot of people struggle to root for any team from the New York metropolitan area. If you are not from the New York metropolitan area, it's baked into a lot of us, that you just don't root for the New York teams unless you absolutely have to. Orlando is a good story too. I have a lot of respect for Oscar Pareja. I talked about the group of players they have getting it done for them. But I'm kind of rooting for the upset here in this Eastern Conference final, Rob. And I think the Red Bulls deserved it. They absolutely deserved that. First goal was an absolute hammer. It was a fantastic goal for the Red Bulls.
Yeah, and would you say, I mean, we're going to come back to this later on, but would you say that New York Red Bulls might be the getting hot at the right time team of this tournament?
Absolutely. I mean, we talk that is the story in the MLS Cup playoffs. They get hot at the right time, you have a chance to win a title, even if you're the 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever seed that you are. The last couple of years have kind of put lie to the idea that the lowest seeds can really make a run. This year, a little bit different. I mean, Atlanta, the 9 seed, beating the number 1 seed, getting themselves into that opportunity against Orlando. And of course, they didn't come up with the victory, but that means Orlando, a 4, and New York Red Bulls, a 7, are playing for the right to go to the MLS Cup final. And, with the way things look in the overall table now, you got no chance at all for either of those teams to host that final. So they know they're going out west, which, maybe colors things a little bit differently. Last game of the season for Orlando at home, every reason to believe that they can win it. But the Rebels will put up a fight. They're very difficult to play against.
So the semifinals are set. Orlando, Seattle, or actually New York Red Bulls versus Orlando, and LA Galaxy versus Seattle, all going down at the same time on November 30th. Switching over to long ball number 2, some more action and some more pride instilled in Orlando football. Marta and Orlando NWSL champions.
Yeah, that I watched that game complete and in its entirety out with a friend of mine here in Northern Virginia. So partisan crowd on hand in the venue. Not too happy with the performance. Not too happy with the officiating, I think, was in question. But that's how it always goes, right? The bias is worn on sleeves when it's about winning a championship. I said this on Blue Sky. I'm going to repeat myself here. That was a final ass final. That was a final, as if there is, if there ever was one, that's a final. Barbara Bando with the lone goal off, one of the few opportunities that Orlando put together on the break. There was another one later in the game where Bando really should have gotten the ball off her foot and set up Marta. Probably would have iced the game and made it less of a question of whether or not the Spirit missed their chance. I'll say this. Bando's goal, very good. Felt a little bit like Kingsbury could have gotten to it or read it better. It was near post, and she left a little bit of a window there that she probably shouldn't have. Maybe she didn't think Bando would shoot near post, but that's on the goalkeeper on some level. And it's unfair to Kingsbury because she was obviously very good in the game against Gotham that even got them to this place. The other thing about this game for Washington in particular is Trinity Rodman was clearly not 100%. She was carrying the back problem. You could see there were moments with spirited attack, getting the ball into the final third, creating some chaos. I think Rodman maybe plays the ball, gets it off her foot to the back post, and then the ball is recovered again by the Spirit, and they're looking to get it back into the box, and she's not making any runs. She's not getting to the back post. She's not doing anything to create any more chaos for Orlando defensively. And I mean, I'm sad. I'm not mad at her about that, because if it was that bad of an issue for her back, well, then she just can't do those things. But it was a problem for the Spirit. And it made it really difficult on Giraldes to whether or not you bring her off. Like, do you bring off your best player in a championship game if she is 65%, which is what she looked to be?
Looking at the stats of this final, it's pretty unbalanced. Washington Spirit, a total of 26 shots, but I think this is telling only 5 of them on target in here. And so a lot of Washington Spirit attempts, but not a lot of accuracy.
I'm not sure they had, sorry to get in there. I'm not sure they had one on goal in the first half. Robert, I have to go back and look and see if they registered a first half shot on target. Did Washington. Lots of the ball in the attacking third, but Orlando is extremely organized. They make it very difficult. There just were not a lot of avenues. And, when they did get somebody like Rodman and man, I feel bad because you don't want to be too critical of any one player when they're in a game like that against what was the best team in the NWSL in 2024. right? Orlando was the best team. Them winning the championship is not a surprise. No one could say, oh, it's a shock that they beat Washington in Kansas City. No, but Rose Kouassi had an absolute terrible day, and it was a problem for Washington. I'm in this bar, fans of the Spirit behind me as I sit at the bar. They're at a table, and I'm hearing the same person yelling, "Rose, stop it! You didn't score a goal all season. Like, stop doing what you're doing. You're killing us right now. Get the ball off your foot. Look for somebody else. Do not take that weak shot that is easily collected by Orlando's keeper." So it was one of those days, frustrating for Washington because it felt like the game was within reach, but absolutely deserved for Orlando because they've been the best all year.
Yeah, at the end of the game, it was, the tension was thick. It definitely had that final feeling like every single time there was some sort of a collision or physical contact, someone was going down. There was quite a few moments in the stoppage time because there was extended stoppage time at the end. A couple of people went down looking for some calls. And for a moment when, all hope was just about lost, the final corner for the Spirit, when Aubrey Kingsbury, the Washington Spirit goalkeeper, came up, it looked like she might have a magical moment there for a moment because the cross came just to her. She got her head to it, but was not on frame there.
Not able to get that. There were, I think early in the game, the Spirit hit the crossbar, hit the post. I think Ashley Hatch. I mean, I'm going to bring this up. Aureus Dosh Trinity is not a one-woman team. Hatch and Sarr didn't come up either. I think Hatch was limited because there just was no service. Ashley Hatch had very few opportunities to actually get her foot on the ball. Like I said, I think she had the header that hit the post, and that was about as close as she got. I think there was maybe one other turn with a fairly weak shot. It wasn't the Washington Spirit's day. Orlando did what Orlando does. They got Barbara Band out of the break. She made them pay. End of story. Congratulations. Well-deserved, Seb Hines and company.
So Orlando Pride raise the NWSL trophy. Marta finally becomes an NWSL champion and made a very big statement. I don't even know what the right word is here, but the interviewer asked her post-game, what does it feel like to finally win after 8 seasons? And Marta dropped a big F-bomb that it feels really effing good.
That's great. Do more of that. Let's go.
I was going to say, does that mean NWSL is one and done on CBS television?
Nah, I mean, I think you give Marta a pass. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some slightly upset soccer parents out there if their girls and kids were watching this game. But come on, it is what it is. She's excited. She's emotional. She's Brazilian. I don't know why, but that's, the passion runs hot with Marta. She's won her title. I mean, it's interesting to consider this too, Rob, with Orlando City still alive in the MLS Cup playoffs, going to the Eastern Conference Final. Might we get an Orlando double in top flight domestic soccer this season? Has that ever happened before? I'm trying to go through my brain. I can't remember it ever happened. I don't remember if it did. I'm not saying it didn't. Somebody will tell me right now in the chat, probably.
I was going to say, we need a side-by-side list of all MLS champions and NWSL champions here, right? Now.
NWSL is 10 years old. This is something like that, right? We're into the 10th season. So how many? Let's see. We got the Thorns a couple different times, 3 different times. The Spirit have won. Gotham has won, obviously. North Carolina Courage. There's no North Carolina MLS team, so you couldn't have a double there. FC Kansas City in 2014. That's before we had KC Current, before they moved to Utah to become what
Royals?
Yeah, the Royals. Yeah. So I mean, did Sporting Kansas City win the 2014 MLS Cup title? Is that the year that they won the MLS Cup title? Somebody tell me if that's right, because that might be the only example we have of the double with a men's and a women's team.
Producer Jenny coming in with a fact check. That was 2013.
It was the year before. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Portland won that year in the NWSL, so he missed it by a year. All right. Well, so be it. Maybe Orlando can be the first.
You're gonna have to paint the country purple if that happens.
Oh man, purple everywhere. Can you imagine? So much purple. Not since the heady days of starter jackets in the 90s have we seen that much purple.
Yeah, the Charlotte Hornets called, right? All right, long ball number 3, heading over to the Premier League. Manchester City lose their 5th straight game, and despite a close call, Liverpool defeated last place Southampton to take a commanding 8-point lead in the Premier
Yeah.
League.
Well, now look, now the magic is completely gone, clearly, and Pep Guardiola needs to retire immediately. Otherwise, City will never win a game again. I mean, who did he piss off? Like, what did he get cursed around Halloween or something? Did a witch cast a spell on Pep Guardiola and City? Because how else do you explain? Look,
I got to say, I was the most wrong I've been since this show started. We're at our 2-month anniversary of doing the show, by the way.
yeah,
And I said without any hesitation that Manchester City was going to come back from the international break and just beat the brakes off of their first opponent after Pep got all this time to prepare.
right.
And that did not happen.
No, but Spurs are their bogey team. Like, this has been a thing. This is not new that they struggle with Spurs, and give Spurs credit for making a statement with that game. We do wonder, and I'm sure there'll be more roller coaster ups and downs for Tottenham Hotspur this season. But this is, this is obviously a team that can play at this level when they put it all together. To imagine that they would beat City 4-0 at the Etihad was. Maybe that was beyond what anybody expected, 1 or 2, or okay, yeah, they went 2-1. They beat City. Wow, great. But now the upshot is, you mentioned it here, because Liverpool won. Now the upshot is the title race over? I know you probably can't say that, Rob. I think that's probably testing the soccer gods a little too much.
Yeah, you can't. You don't want to mess with them soccer gods. They are cruel. They are very cruel.
Yeah, they do. They bring vengeance down upon you if you mess with them, if you get too cocky.
But yeah, don't even over celebrate a goal. That means nothing.
8 points. I know it's 12 matches. It is 8 points. When City has come back from 5-point deficits before and won the title, it has happened. And I really do need to kind of dig into Liverpool's fixture list to see where their biggest moments of concern might be. You do have the Mo Salah contract thing hanging over Liverpool on some level, but they have enough talent, and Slot's got them playing solid defensive soccer for the most part. I mean, besides the 2 goals they gave to Southampton yesterday, this is a team that knows how to defend as much as they are attacking in waves with this group of talent. So I don't see a reason to doubt them right now, because I don't think anybody else is good enough. Now that City's dropped 3 in a row in the league, Chelsea, a nice team, young, still working their way through it. It's a good win. Nicholas Jackson seemed to be coming into his own as a truly elite Premier League striker. Maybe people didn't have that on their bingo card. We know Arsenal is fallible, right? Everybody has lots of defects, except maybe Liverpool right now.
Dimitri in the comments said that it's all turned around for City since Erling Haaland told Arteta to be humble, which is a good point.
Yeah.
Looking at Liverpool's fixture list, not Premier League, but on Wednesday they face Real Madrid, and in Premier League, this is probably a big one. And I think Pep Guardiola reacted in the press conference. Liverpool versus Manchester City next Sunday. December 1st. So they were the reporters were saying, if Liverpool wins next weekend, it's 11-point gap. Is that too big? And he was just like, yeah.
Wow, he's nothing if not brutally honest, even about his own team. I think Pep does that. I think he's pretty good at that. I mean, he's allowed to be brutally honest because the team wins enough and they win titles all the time, and you can just kind of say, yeah, it's and sometimes he's doing it in a reverse psychology way. Like he'll say something about City like, "Oh yeah, it's too much. We're done. That's a really good team. This might be too far to win it," and then they win the title, and you're just like, okay, fine, whatever. But again, so much of that is the slips that other teams make, right? Arsenal, and look, obviously, when you have a team like City, you sort of set a target, like, oh, okay, they're going to get to 90 points. More often than not, they're going to get to 90 points. So then it's, can you, as the chaser, make sure you even out those bumps? Because if you lose to Nottingham Forest, you lose to Ipswich, you lose to Southampton, when you are a title contender, you're probably not winning the title. Those things usually come back to bite you. Now, Liverpool's proven that not to be the case because they have managed to make up for the loss against Forest at home with some other results. So, and injuries are a problem for everybody, but especially for City and especially for Arsenal right now. So, or has been an issue for Arsenal. So this does look like Liverpool is inside track, but nothing is done. You mentioned that Manchester City and Liverpool in the massive game on a Sunday. Circle that on your calendars. We'll all be watching to see if Liverpool can effectively put the dagger in.
In one of my group chats, when Liverpool were down 2-1 to Southampton, they were saying that Liverpool are allergic to stretching any kind of a lead. And I was like, you're not wrong. And I'm just, as a Liverpool fan, I assume that Manchester City is just going to win the entire second half of the calendar.
Yes, right. That's and it's, you wouldn't put it past them to do it, right? You don't look at I have to look again. I have to look at their fixture list. Okay, so we've got Liverpool next weekend at Anfield. Then they're home to Forest, away to Palace. They have the Champions League against Juve.
Palace haven't been a straightforward team for City in the past either.
No, and Selhurst Park is always a vibe, right? There's something to that. Then they've got United at the Etihad. Again, this December is so crazy in the Premier League that you kind of feel like you either make up all your points here or you drop more and that's it. It's cooked. You hit the new year basically knowing the race is over. If it stays like this, right? If it's 8 when we get to January 1st, I think everybody will be effectively, handing the trophy to Liverpool. But there's a lot of soccer to be played, and Liverpool's got their own busy calendar, so let's see.
Farther down the table, a new era started at Manchester United. Ruben Amorim got his side a 1-1 draw against Ipswich. And I think the highlight for me of that experience was the post-game quote, "We are set to suffer for a long period."
Well, there's that. And there's also the fact that his interview with Sky got interrupted by Ed Sheeran, noted Ipswich Town fan, who just walked on. Like, okay, I know when you're Ed Sheeran and you have access to the entire world because you're Ed Sheeran, you maybe are just like, oh, look, there's my buddy over there. Was it Jamie Redknapp? My buddy over there. I'm going to go say hi to him. And it's like, Ed, they're interviewing Ruben Amorim, right? Like right now, like what do you think's happening why do you think there are cameras and microphones? Ed, are you that daft? Like, I'm going to use the word that they might. What's going on, Ed? Like,
it's been a bit of a plonker.
Don't you have a Christmas single to push or something? Isn't that a big deal to reach the top of the pops in England on Christmas? Come on, Ed, what are you doing here? But no, the result itself, I think that there was, and this is not based in fact, this is just the emotion of it, but it kind of felt like the new manager bump came when Ruud was in charge, right? And then you kind of wonder, can they keep it up after the international break with Ruben Amorim, when all the headlines, all the stories around him are, it's going to be a long process to fix this club. And he's not going to get any money in January. He's not going to be able to go out and sign anybody to help make United better. So what else could you expect? Now, I do think it's pretty ugly that your first result is a draw to Ipswich, considering, where Ipswich is in the table and who they are and the fact they were a promoted club. It's not great for Amorim. We'll see, though, because United, they made a choice here, right? They could have allowed Ruud to finish out at least the calendar year. They could have chosen him to be the interim manager, the caretaker for the remainder of the season. That's a long time for a caretaker, don't get me wrong. But you also have, you have the vibes, you have this new spirit. The dour Dutchman is gone. Bring in this other Dutchman who's got more happiness about him, or whatever Ruud Van Nistelrooy brings to the table. Whatever it was better. Mm-hmm. And now you have a situation where it's like, I don't know, like it was a substitute teacher and everybody felt like the mood had lightened, and now they're like, well, we hired somebody and he's going to come in and crack the whip, and everybody knows that's going to happen. And yeah, I don't know, Rob.
Yeah, because now he's coming in like, we're going to have to change all the players. So everyone that was there, like, hey, we have this, the substitute teacher. And like you said, we're just going to like have the best recess ever.
Yeah, we're going outside for class. Well, it's letting us bring snacks to lessons. And now Ruben's like, no, you don't, none of that. And you're probably getting kicked out of here in like 6 months. So be ready for that. Like, how are you supposed to be happy?
So after 12 matches, Manchester United in 12th on 16 points. The bottom 3 remain Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Southampton. And at the top of the table, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, and Arsenal. That should do it for long balls here on Monday, a holiday week here. Be sure as we head into Thanksgiving, hit subscribe, Morning Kickaround on the YouTubes. And then on the X and Instagram, follow right along Kickaround on those platforms. Thinking of adding some more platforms over the long weekend. So be sure to get locked in on those.
Do that and then follow me on Blue Sky at Davis Jason.
Sure thing. We're going to catch our breath, come right back with today's hot topic. After an exciting weekend, Monday morning's hot topic, Ricardo Pepi scored a hat trick. Is he United States men's national team hands down number one now?
Ricardo Pepi scoring 3 goals in a rout for PSV Eindhoven. Is he the number one for the U.S. men's national team? Yes, because what you want is somebody who scores goals. He did it twice in the international window. He's got this going for him, which is nice. I know Groningen didn't put up much of a fight. And Eindhoven, the PSV Eindhoven is defending champions in that league and clearly the best team right now, the best run team. Shout out to Ernie Stewart. If we're going to salute Americans, let's salute Ernie Stewart. Clearly the best run team in that league. I've been high on Pepi for a long time. And I think he has consistently found himself in difficult situations. Some of that is of his own making, right? Did he need to leave Dallas when he did? Did he need to leave Dallas for Augsburg? No, right? That proved in the end. And if we said it at the time, like I know there was the David Blitzer connection, like, oh, this is, and you might hear the guy that I work with on the radio in the afternoons on Sirius XMFC say things like, oh, this was sort of to massage the situation as David Blitzer helped take over RSL when we went through that ownership change, when Deloy Hansen got himself in big trouble for being a racist, sexist jerkhead. When that all happened, Ricardo Pepi going to a club partly controlled by David Blitzer was sort of this weird quid pro quo, money changing hands, give me a discount on the team and I'll buy this player for this other place kind of thing. That's what my partner on the radio says. Whether or not that's true, it was a bad decision to land at Augsburg, who was in a relegation battle in the Bundesliga, wasn't going to turn their attention to a 19-year-old and say, yeah, score goals for us. They weren't going to give him that, not in that league. He was probably better suited to go to Belgium or the Eredivisie in the first place and try to get his feet wet. Now, he's been stuck behind Luuk de Jong. And even recently, right, even within the last 2 weeks, there's been this, since the break, right? What do we have, Rob? We had statements from Fabrizio Romano, tweets from Fabrizio Romano about one to watch, Ricardo Pepi, January transfer window. That is, again, that feels to me like the team around Pepi, his agent and the people responsible for finding him another place to play or getting him more minutes, more opportunity, are trying to create a market for him with a Fabrizio Romano tweet. What the actual market for Ricardo Pepi is really hard to know. And he's been frustrated, and he says he wants to play. He did it when he was with the national team. After starting those games under Mauricio Pochettino, he said to the media, I'm ready to start. I'm a 21-year-old player, but and then his manager says, yeah, I understand he's frustrated, but he's behind Luuk de Jong. Now, he's Dutch, so he didn't say it with this amount of emotion as I'm giving you. But he said, like, what am I? Yeah, matter of fact, like, I understand why Ricardo Pepi is frustrated. But the fact of the matter is that Ricardo Pepi is behind Luuk de Jong. And what is Peter Bosz going to do? He's going to bench a club legend, the captain of the team, a guy who keeps scoring goals. If Luuk de Jong wasn't scoring goals, we could all complain and yell at Peter Bosz. What are you doing? Give Ricardo Pepi a chance. But that's not the situation. So it's a January move if he wants to play more this year, or he waits until the summer. There could be a market for him. You also have to wonder whether PSV Eindhoven has any real interest in selling him right now, because he is only 21. He does score goals when he plays. To have a backup like that is a golden ticket. Like, why wouldn't you want to keep that if you were Eindhoven, unless there is a big, big offer that comes in for Ricardo Pepi?
After his weekend hat trick against Groningen, Ricardo Pepi now PSV Eindhoven's leading scorer, overtaking Luuk de Jong. So a little bit more for the manager to consider. And the goals he scored, good variety. His first goal, I was pretty impressed by. He gets the ball on the right, drives hard into the box, and a nice little lofted finish into the opposite side.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive. Second goal, good first touch, right-footed finish, and then the third, beautiful cross where he, borderline unmarked header. Nice finish.
Yeah. Look, he showed off multiple ways to finish. Again, I think Groningen did not put up much resistance. There were other chances that Ricardo Pepi didn't take. He could have had 4 or 5 in this game, right? And again, with the way the score line, when you're like, if you hear, let's say you didn't know what the score was, and you hear Ricardo Pepi scored a hat trick for Eindhoven, you might be going like, oh, that's great. That's incredible. And yes, you'd still be right, but you look at the score line, you go 5-0. And then you look at the numbers and you go, 26 shots, 9 big chances created, 9 big chances created by PSV Eindhoven in this game. This was a rout from beginning to end. And of course, your center forward should get chances. Now, again, he converted 3. Not trying to take this away from him. But the context of this is he got a start against Groningen because Peter Bosch knew he could start his backup striker and not lose much. And Luke de Jong was carrying an injury, a small one, that probably isn't going to keep him out long term. So you get to rest your number 1 center forward, play the kid, get him some goals and some confidence. What's going to happen? Is going to go right back to the old situation. As soon as Luke de Jong is healthy, he'll start again. So I don't know what we should be rooting for here, but I do think that it's pretty clear that as long as he's getting a little bit of time and scoring goals at this level, when Balogun is hurt, not scoring, when Sargent is hurt, not scoring, when Brendan Vasquez is not scoring, who am I missing? Anybody else?
Haji Wright?
Haji Wright is not a center forward, so Ricardo Pepi is the guy.
Looking at the table, PSV Eindhoven is kind of bossing it this far. They only have a 5-point lead, and they've played an extra game, but their goal difference is absolutely insane. After 13 games, they have a plus 36 goal difference. They've scored 45 goals in 13 games.
Yeah, it says something about their quality across the team, and obviously about the league right now. Their goal difference is the same as their point total. 36 points through 13 games, 36 plus goal difference, 45 goals scored, 9 conceded. Yeah, they, like I said, best run team in Holland, best team in Holland, period. Obviously, Pepi is benefiting from. I would rather him be playing there and getting goals, even as a backup in limited minutes, than be frustrated. It is also worth pointing out that he is already, I think, with these goals and the minutes he's played, he's already ahead of last year's pace for the full season at halfway through. So you might think, oh, he's not playing enough. He's playing double the minutes through half the year that he played at this point last season.
It was a fantastic improvement, step in the right direction. And if he gets more and more playing time, hopefully his goal total is doubled as well. Other Americans abroad, I thought this was going to be a marquee game of the weekend. It did not turn out to be so. In Italy, AC Milan versus Juventus, potentially 4 Americans at least on display. Didn't turn out that way. Weah came on with 10 minutes to go. Pulisic on the bench came on with 20 minutes to go. To be fair, he was the first off the bench, but Milan versus Juventus ended 0-0.
Yeah, I mean, look, should we be? Look, we can be mad, right? Fonseca, what the hell, man? We were looking forward to this game. What the hell? Why is Christian Pulisic not in the start? I know you started Yunus Musa. Thank you for that. I do like that. That's very nice of you. Thank you. But Christian Pulisic's not starting. What the hell? Against Juve? What's going on there? And then obviously on the other side, we thought maybe with the injury to Vlahovic that Tim Weah was the guy that Thiago Motta was going to turn to. He starts Coop Miners instead. And no, come on. What's going on, Thiago Motta? We want to see our guys on the field. We want to see all 4 Americans in the starting lineup. I think you owe, I don't know why you owe us that. I think you owe us that because reasons, because I want it.
That's a very good way to paint this through our lens. I mean, for our show, I mean, covering the world's favorite game from everyone's favorite country. I mean, he should be thinking about us over here doing our show when he's picking his team over there.
Clearly, this was a cagey affair, right? Like maybe we shouldn't be too worried about it considering the way it turned out. Expected goal numbers, less than half an expected goal for both teams. That tells you there just wasn't a lot going on attacking wise. Milan created 0 big chances. Juve created 2. It was 13 total shots between the 2 of them. I mean, it was obviously just, and I thought we were going to get goals. I think on Friday, Rob, I said, hey, I'm looking forward to goals in this massive game between Milan and Juve, and we got nothing. Absolutely a big stinking lot of nothing.
I mean, Juventus completed 456 passes. I mean, for people who love a good pass,
Yeah,
this game could have been for
maybe
them. And the 7th versus 6th place matchup provides no change. So it's still Juventus 6th, Milan 7th.
You have to be a tactics Serie A Catenaccio level sicko, to care about, to be like, oh, that's a great match. 0-0. Milan and Juve. That's what I'm looking for. Ew. No, that's terrible. I mean, again, disappointing from an American perspective. We have no reason to think that those guys. I mean, look, good to see Yunus Musa after having elevated himself into the plan for Fonseca after that great performance at the Bernabeu. Get a chance to start in a massive game against Juve. Yeah, as you said, not where these teams want to be in terms of the standings. And I do think they have some work to do. Things are very, very tight in Italy at this point. I mean, although Milan has the gap, I mean, it's 6 and 7, and Milan has a game in hand because they had the game rained out against Bologna. But they're 6 points back at Juve. They had a chance here to close that gap. They haven't done it. Juve in 6th, but they're only 4 points off the top. So that 1 through 6 battle is really intense right now.
Another American abroad, Anthony Robinson played the full match for Fulham.
We're not talking about that.
The result. You bleed cottages when you cut your finger. Cottages pour out of your bloodstream.
No, I want none of that. We're not talking. I don't know what happened. I don't recognize that result as legitimate. We're not going into why Fulham lost to Wolves. Nope.
No, not doing it. And then another small note: Aiden Morris injured over the weekend too.
Yeah, disappointing that. He wasn't completely fit for Pochettino, right? That was part of the thing during the international break. So clearly, maybe just a little too much football for Aiden Morris. You make that move to England after having played a lot of soccer in MLS the last couple of years. I think he'll be back. Hopefully he'll be fully fit in the near future.
All right. Like and subscribe the Morning Kickaround YouTube channel. We're ticking our way towards 400 subscribers. Be the next to do it, or tell your friend, family, foe, acquaintance, whoever. Get this MK Ultra group fired up. Get those subscriptions in, and then follow us on social media. Kickaround on X and Instagram. We'll pause for a moment. Come right back here with today's big question here on Morning Kickaround. Here on Monday morning, the day after the MLS Cup quarterfinals, teams are knocked out and there's only 4 remaining. Who is now the MLS Cup favorite?
This team right here. This team, the LA Galaxy. They are the MLS Cup favorite. Whether they had beaten Minnesota 6-2 or not, they would be the MLS Cup favorite. They have so much going for them now. They control their destiny in terms of hosting the final. If they beat Seattle in the final in the West, we get to have an MLS Cup at what is now Dignity Health Sports Park. Did I get that right? Dignity Health Sports Park. Used to be the Home Depot Center, used to be the StubHub Center. Now it's Dignity Health Sports Park. And we haven't played an MLS Cup final there. I want to say it's been 2014?
2014, 2012, something like that.
So it's been a long time. I remember going out to LA for MLS Cup finals during the Beckham era, during the Donovan era, during the Robbie Keane era, during the Bruce Arena era. And the world has changed a lot. Major League Soccer has changed a lot since that. A lot. And yet it feels right. I mean, if you're not a Galaxy fan, if you hate the Galaxy, plug your ears, earmuffs, do whatever you need to do to avoid this conversation. But I maintain that MLS is better when the Galaxy are good. It's nice to have another LA team making waves in LAFC. We've got expansion teams. We've got big clubs, stepping up. Inter Miami's thing, whatever that's their thing that they're doing down there in South Florida, obviously with the greatest player on the planet, is certainly fascinating and attention worthy. But man, MLS is better when the Galaxy are good. And I like the way they're doing this. right?
Yeah,
They're
they've definitely
doing
been the entertainers of the tournament so far. 15 goals in 3 games.
That's what I'm telling you. It's the old school Galaxy show. Like they're putting on the show. It fits in the vibe. You remember the Lake Show with the LA basketball teams of the 80s. This team has that same sort of vibe. When Ricky Puig has the ball at his feet and space in front of him, it is must watch soccer. And Gabriel Peck was excellent. Payne still frustrates me a little bit because I don't think he's clinical enough, but he got 2 goals in the win over Minnesota. Joveljic can score too, and he proved that. I mean, Ricky Puig is so I don't know, dynamic in the way he plays. Now, again, I know Minnesota fans are a little upset about some of the quote unquote diving, and then maybe they thought the refereeing was a little off, and obviously the red card made it impossible for Minnesota to imagine coming back in that game. But the Galaxy have done what they're supposed to do, right? They haven't disappointed yet, and we've seen that. They went to Colorado and they just went ahead, put their foot on Colorado's neck and got that thing over with. It helped that Zach Steffen botched it, but they got that thing over with in 2 games. It meant the long layoff, but when they got back to it, they didn't make any excuses. They didn't, we're rusty. No, they scored in the first 3 minutes of that game. Now they gave up another goal. They gave up a goal, an equalizer pretty quickly afterwards, which maybe indicates some of their defensive frailties, but they went and scored 6. Like, who cares if we give up 3? We're going to score 6 and we're going to win the game. That's the kind of soccer we should all want to see. Seattle into this Western final is a nice redemption story for them on some level too, because they were the standard bearer in Major League Soccer for a long time. They slipped a bit as LAFC has risen, as we've watched some of these other clubs step up. But the Sounders are still a well-run organization. They still have a great coach in Brian Schmetzer. They still have talented players in guys like Morris and some of the youngsters, Obed Vargas and the like. So I'm excited for this, but the Galaxy are the favorites. Because if they can beat Seattle, and that's their challenge, whoever comes out of the East has to go to LA, and they will be up against it with this LA Galaxy team.
You're saying the Galaxy are favorites. Who would you say is like maybe the surprising team that might sneak an upset?
I mean, I think if you are neutral, this is my sense of it, that Galaxy Red Bulls is the best possible matchup for an MLS Cup final. To me, that feels like the biggest possible. I mean, if you live in the middle of the country, I know you're a Midwesterner, Rob, through and through. You're a Midwestern guy. If you live
Midwestern
in
and from 2 different countries, yeah.
Yeah, the Midwestern and Midlands. I don't know. No, I don't know where you're.
Yeah, it is the Midlands. You're right.
You're Midwestern and Midlands. Oh my God, you're so mid. It's incredible.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Couldn't possibly be more mid, Rob. No, if you live in the middle of the country and you sort of resent the attention that LA and New York get, you might go, "Oh, I can't. Well, what are we doing here?" No, of course, we just had a World Series with this same vibe. It draws attention. Like these are the 2 biggest cities and the 2 biggest cultural forces on the planet, or in our world anyway. So when we have sports get to this place and you have the opportunity for it, and I do think you get the Cinderella story with the Red Bulls, you get the first-year head coach, you get the wild story about Emil Forsberg and his family, which maybe we'll break down at some point. Are you not aware of this, Rob?
I don't know this story.
Emil Forsberg abandoned his family to move to New York to play some soccer, and moved to Jersey to play some soccer. Flat out did.
Like totally like moving, like, hey, I'm taking a job in another country, or like, I'm done, new life.
I mean, like his wife took to Instagram to say, Emil Forsberg has abandoned his family to move to America to play for the Red Bulls. That's out there. So that's that. I mean, you have the potential for a guy like John Tolkien to be leaving in the winter. I think there's some rumors around that, and he's been a nice young player for the Red Bulls for a while now. You know, Lewis Morgan, who was the MLS Comeback Player of the Year, is part of this story for the Red Bulls. And then obviously the Galaxy, like I said, they've got the star power in Ricky Puig, and they've got these wingers in Pansel and Peck, and they've got Joveljic, and they've got some stories. Greg Vanney is a successful coach from another destination trying to prove he can do it somewhere else. I think, by the way, if you are an LA Galaxy fan and you are not buying a Christmas gift, and I mean an actual gift, I don't mean sending him a card. I mean buying the man a gift. If you're not sending Will Kuntz a gift for what he's done for your team, something's wrong with you. Will Kuntz is the reason the LA Galaxy are where they are. Greg Vanney's a good coach. But if not for Will Kuntz figuring out how to put this team on the field together, get these pieces in, the Galaxy are not playing for a chance to host MLS Cup in the Western Conference Final.
The New York Red Bulls goalkeeper, I'm having a hard time recalling his name, but
Carlos Coronel. That's Carlos
Coronel.
Coronel.
Okay, because he's listed as Miguel, and I'm like, who's this Miguel guy? But
You know.
Coronel has come through with some great saves in every single game in the postseason. Like he thwarted Columbus countless times, and then he had quite a few in this game against NYC FC. And what say his name again?
Carlos Coronel. Carlos Miguel Coronel. Yeah. A Brazilian keeper. He's been around. He's been in New York for a couple seasons now. I think this is his third year in New York.
Paraguay.
He plays for Paraguay. He was born in Brazil. My apologies to the entire Coronel family, wherever they are from. He has been an underrated goalkeeper in this league, I think. He's not as consistent as you might like for like an MLS goalkeeper of the year type candidate, but I think he has been very, very good in big moments for the Red Bulls, particularly this season. You're referencing it, right? What the Red Bulls are going to do, right? They're going to make it difficult for you to play them. They're going to press, maybe not quite as much under Sandro Schwartz as they did under previous managers, but they are going to take their opportunities. They're going to hit you hard when they get the ball, and they're going to rely on their goalkeeper to make some saves. And Coronel has been excellent.
So we're shading towards Galaxy and the Red Bulls kind of being our, picks. Out of Orlando and Seattle, who's more likely to really spring an upset here?
Well, Orlando beating Red Bulls wouldn't be an upset, right? The Red Bulls winning would be the upset. I do think Orlando's favored, and I think they're probably the better team, but I don't know why you would doubt the Red Bulls' ability to win, especially since they've done it, multiple times away from home now in these playoffs. That game, that matchup, which is 4 versus 7 in the Eastern Conference, seems tight. It seems like one or two moments could change the complexion of that game. I think the Galaxy are better than the Sounders, but the range of possibility in the Western Conference Final is big. It could be 1-1 extra time penalty kicks. Like I could see that. I could also see 5-0 Galaxy. Like I could see this getting out of hand for Seattle. They've got a solid back line. They play with that 3-back system. Jackson Reagan has elevated into a best 11 caliber center back in this league. All right. Jamar is not what he's aging and getting a little older and maybe not quite as good as he was a couple years ago, but he's still a very good center back in this league at 32 years of age. Again, they had to replace Nuhu with Bell, and it worked out for them against LAFC. If Nuhu's not ready to play in that final, I wonder what Schmetzer, well, if he is ready, if Nuhu's healthy, I wonder what he does after Bell's performance against LAFC. We know you're going to have to slow the Galaxy down through the midfield. So the Sounders midfield have the capacity to slow down LA Galaxy in a way that limits those opportunities, getting the ball wide, Peck 1v1, Pansel 1v1, Puig, all kinds of chaos in and around the box. The Galaxy they're relentless with the attack. So we'll see if Seattle can step up. I think Schmetzer will have a plan. It largely worked against LAFC, but remember, LAFC cares about 2 or 3 chances. 2 or 3 really good chances is all LAFC cares about, and they think they can beat you that way. They didn't, but again, only because of a really ridiculous own goal from Maxime Chanot that let the Sounders push the game into extra time. And again, Jordan Morris with a good shot, but the margins are small in that one. I'm not sure they're quite as small against the Galaxy.
It's wild when you think of all the preparation that goes into it and the fitness and the attention to details and the game planning, the video study, and then someone knocks the ball into their own net. Like all that work, all that preparation, that training, the fitness, all that, and then there's just an inexplicable human error that undoes the whole thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had Chanot as the weak link for LAFC. Yeah. So it wasn't a shock to see him be the one to make that mistake. I mean, he's 35 years old at this point. He's been around in MLS for a while. He's had good moments and he's had bad moments. And I thought he was pretty poor even before the own goal in that match against Seattle. So it ends poorly for LAFC, not what they wanted. The Seattle Sounders get a chance. The Sounders are capable of beating the Galaxy. They're capable of beating the Galaxy, but the Galaxy are a better team and they look very, very confident right now.
So on Saturday, the MLS Cup semifinals, 7:30, Orlando and New York Red Bulls, and in the nightcap, Los Angeles Galaxy versus Seattle Sounders. Take a look at the chat with a few minutes left in the show. Nate asked, did we talk about Orlando Pride's robbery yet? Were they robbed, Jason?
Well, Nate, we're going to need you to explain yourself. Again, watch that entire game. Felt like there were some questionable moments, but I wasn't. I don't know. I recall a couple of fouls that were kind of questionable. I guess I have to use that word, Rob. But
I saw
I
players fall over in the box, whether or not they were goals. I don't know, or a foul.
Okay,
Penalty.
he's calling it a foul on the goal. Players fighting for the ball. I mean, are we talking about before? Are you talking about Banda committing a foul? I mean, again, maybe because where I was watching and how I was watching that game, I have a different view of what Nate is talking about. You have to let them play. It's a final. Like, you have to let them play on some level. I don't know that I want to give. So we've got the two-handed push in the buildup is what we're looking at here. Yeah, I think Washington can blame themselves for the way that turned out, rather than going and looking at the referee didn't call a foul early in the sequence that would have prevented Orlando from scoring their goal.
Yeah, I'm watching it back again now. Orlando comes down the right, left-footed strike, and it kind of goes through the goalie.
No. This is what Nate is talking about is when Orlando recovers the ball in the buildup. When they get the ball in the first place in the buildup. Actually, they play it out of the back. So they play to midfield. There's a ball's trapped down, and there's a challenge. I can't see who's making the challenge, and maybe Nate knows.
Okay, I see a push. Yeah,
there's
a push. I mean, I guess that's the case where if that player falls down, they get the call, but they tough it out, stay on their feet, nothing. So maybe maybe that's one of those things where you gotta go down to get the call.
We don't want to incentivize players to go down, right? And this is certainly something that people tell you about the women's game that is better, is that there's not as much simulation. There's not as much trying to buy fouls. And I think Washington could have done better when they had their opportunities. And if you get beat by one goal and your claim is there's a foul in the buildup and that's why we lost the game, that's pretty. Come on, that's pretty cheap. You got to do better than that.
And at the same time, there was a lot of time left, so you got to score a goal. I mean, you want to win a game, you got to score a goal, right?
Yeah, I mean, as I've said before, I thought there were a lot of self-inflicted wounds here. There was a shout for a penalty. Kouassi went down, and like I said, Kouassi was a problem for Washington all day. She was kind of a black hole when it came to the ball in terms of being able to actually make anything happen. Thought she should have done better. Again, these are not 100% calls. In either case, they are judgment calls on the part of the referee. And I think we have to stop. No offense to Nate, who obviously was pulling for the Spirit. But we have to stop relying on, the referee got it wrong, right? We have to let referees make calls, particularly when the sequence is so not 100% clear, because that's what VAR is supposed to do, right? VAR is supposed to go back and fix an obvious error. In neither of these cases, based on what kind of responsibility you give the referee, what I call those obvious errors, clear and obvious errors.
I wouldn't call it highway robbery, but thin margins on these, and especially in a final. We got about a minute left of the show. A little bit of housekeeping. This is what most likely the one show of the week, would you say, with travel and all that?
Yeah, I think because it's Thanksgiving week, we're going to be here today, and then we'll see you guys next week, and hopefully we'll have some things lined up. I know we're going to get some guests, and we're going to do some focus on local soccer stories. I know we've got some emails over at the morning kickaround@gmail.com account about those local stories, and we definitely want to reach out to those people and get them on the show. What else housekeeping wise? do we need to do here, Rob? Anything in particular?
Well, I think we're gonna add a Blue Sky account for the show.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
gonna generate a few dozen subscribers, I think, over the time. We're
Let's
gonna
do
have
it.
a lot of videos posted, and we're gonna make a push to get some more subscribers. And there's just a heck of a lot of soccer. But by the time we come back next week, the MLS Cup final will be set.
That's right. We won't be able to talk about what happens in those. Yeah, I mean, we'll know on Monday who won those semifinals or those conference finals, and then we'll know obviously what that MLS Cup final looks like coming up on December. What day is that? December. I don't have the calendar in my head. Rob,
Ooh, let me see if I can pull it up on the stretch. But
December 7th. I looked it up. It's December 7th. That's
man,
when
you're
that
quick
final's
draw.
at.
You quicker draw than I on that.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. Lots of Premier League, European football happening, obviously. It's the festive season coming when things get very heated in the English Premier League. Lots of games coming fast and furious. I watched, actually, since we have one more minute here on the show, maybe we can talk a little bit about bad Christmas movies. Have you watched any bad Christmas movies yet this year, Rob? Any?
Not bad ones, but we've already hit our annual viewing of Elf.
Already?
We already did
Wow.
it. We dipped in very
You got that
early.
one done early. My 16-year-old refuses to watch any of the good ones until it's actually December. So I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll pick out a few not so great ones. My wife and I sat down and like, okay, what are we going to watch? Can we watch some series, something intense, some drama? No, let's watch one of those rom-coms that pops up on Netflix, the Christmas ones. I think this might have been a Hallmark production, so you know what kind of vibe you're going with. It was Christmas in London with a football connection. In fact, the lead male character was a professional footballer for a club called Newborn, which obviously did. So unfortunately for my wife, watching the show with her soccer-loving husband, she had to hear me go, "Oh, that's not a real club. Oh, that looks terrible. What is that? That's not the guy's way too posh to be a footballer." He was like posh footballer. I was like, there's not a lot of posh footballers.
Were they basing the character on Ward Prowse? Because apparently he's a posh guy.
Maybe it was a Ward Prowse. Yeah, maybe it was that. There was a men. There was the you have to make the soccer versus football joke. The American girl. It's an American girl. Calls the game soccer. He's like, no, it's called football. And then they fall in love. They fall in love and they get together. And there's a little bit of soccer involved.
I like the parodies. There's a lot of parodies on social media of people pretending to do the Hallmark holiday movie of like, oh, successful city girl. Welcome. What are you doing in our small town? I'm here from high school. I just cut wood for all my neighbors.
Yeah. This one was a little bit of a twist. I will say it was a little bit of a twist. The lead female character, she was a special education teacher from Chicago visiting her little sister who worked at it wasn't the British Museum. It was like the Museum of Britain. It was like, you can't say the British Museum in this Hallmark movie. You have to change it, I guess. Maybe I missed. Maybe there's an official name. I don't understand. But anyway, she falls in love with the footballer who is nearing the end of his career. He's like 33 and he's like, my knee hurts. I don't know if I can play.
Did she have an anecdote of like, this reminds me of ancient Egypt when the Pharaoh had a hurt knee?
No. See, that was the little sister who worked at the museum. The main character was the special education teacher.
Oh, my bad.
Right. So then, there's a whole. We did get a little bit of football action. He scores a goal at the end once they've gotten together, right? And now they're a thing, and she's in love with him, and she's staying in London or whatever. He scores the goal to put Newborn into the Champions League. That's been his dream since he was a little boy. So anyway, go watch this bad. It doesn't
even have this movie doesn't even have a name, does it?
I don't remember the name of it because the name never actually it never stands out. They're all like very generic. Let me see if I can
a London Holiday.
Is that what it's called?
A romance in Britain. I'm just riffing here.
You're guessing. You guess, and then I'll try to find it.
Love.
No, I don't think it was called. I don't think it was called that. Keep going. I'm gonna look this up.
Not a Kick It Love. You've made your way through ball.
Okay, you're never gonna get it. I remembered it now after I looked it up. You're never gonna get it. Okay,
Love for the Ages.
again, he's posh. This is apparently a club, a posh club. I don't know. Everything happens in Notting Hill, so it's called Christmas in Notting Hill is the name of the movie.
Oh, so they're trying to get some play off of the old movie. So they didn't even stand alone on there.
No, they were biting off of somebody else's style. Which, you know, when you're doing Hallmark movies, I guess you got to do it that way.
Yeah, because somebody clicked on that, like, oh, I could watch Notting Hill. Oh, this isn't it. Let me give this a minute, and then maybe people stay on the channel.
Yeah.
But the Davis household did.
You know, if you just want kind of saccharine, boring, a little bit of British accent mixed in for whatever reason, if you just like that, if you like the idea of Christmas in London, give it a watch and give us a review on the football action. Because I am absolutely somebody who will seek out bad football, bad soccer in TV shows and movies. I would like to. It's so hard for them to get it right, and I get it. You know, it's whatever. There used to be a show on Netflix about this team called the Montreal Thunder or something like that. Anyway, maybe one day we'll review all that.
We'll do a watch along with that. I recall deep COVID, the English game, and the Total Soccer guys were reviewing that and saying they noted that in no like acted out football series has there been a good goalie sequence.
Oh, goalie
always has to just like dive or not.
They can't get it right. They can't make it look legit. It's always like the ball's halfway past him into the net and he dives.
Or dives over it, or just doesn't move. There's no realistic goalieing in acting.
Doing goalie stuff is really hard when you're doing like takes. All right, Rob, that's enough of my bad Christmas movie reviews for today.
Yeah, we burned through Elf too early, but thanks everyone for joining us. The show will return on next week, Monday. We'll probably be putting out segments of the show throughout the week. Give us a follow or subscribe, and enjoy your soccer. Until next time, we got Champions League, Premier League, MLS Cup semifinals. It's all to be played. And until we see you next time, everybody, enjoy your soccer.